Grew up in Glynn, County Limerick, a little idyllic village right on the border of Limerick and Kerry, and lovely. You know, we were looking straight at County Clare, and we went to school in Glynn, secondary school in Tarbert, County Kerry, which is just bordering it. Yeah, it was a nice upbringing. Agriculture would have been a big industry there, really, but it was a typical Irish village.
And when did you always want to work in hospitality, or when did you get that first kind of break into it?
I suppose my first job was in Brown Thomas, the old Tods, or the old Brown Thomas Tods in Limerick, and I was always in sales. Sales kind of came naturally to me, and I worked at night time then in bars, well, a bar in Shannon really. It was the old lodge, which is now the Shannon Springs. I actually worked there in the bar. And I was in the TV video records department in Todd's. I remember one time when I was maybe there. I was there about 7 or 8 years, but there was a couple bought a video on TV off me in Todd's, and I was working in the old lodge that evening at 6, and we finished at 5:30. So I got the bus. I used to have the bus, get the bus out, and got the bus out literally, but they were kind of delaying me a bit, so I thought I'd missed the bus, but I didn't, got it anyway. So changed the tie in behind the bar. This guy comes up, he says, "Can I have a pint of Guinness gin and tonic?" And I knew he was looking at me kind of funny. And I said, "Yeah, no bother." But I kind of copped to it. Was like, I could see them below. And when he was collecting the drink, he said, "Sorry, have you got a brother working in Todd's?" I said, "I have, yeah, he's very like me actually." I said, in the end I told him the truth. Yeah. Because I knew I wouldn't probably get away with it. But anyway, yeah, so that was the start of it. In Todd's then I met the man who brought me into the industry, really, Joe Devaney. Joe's legend. He had a great vision, and he wanted to have a seafood restaurant in Bunratty. So I worked with him in the electrical, and we eventually got Gallagher's cottage, and Joe did it up, and he asked me to kind of be front of house. And I said, "Joe, come on, I haven't a clue, you know." So he sent me down to Manuel de Lucia in Kilkee, who had a beautiful restaurant. Manuel and Doris were like husband and wife, but it was like a house as such, and it was kind of just fairly normal kitchen, but food was incredible. So I sent me down for a night to Manuel, and we were just chatting in the kitchen before anything kicked off. And next thing, 2 Mercedes pulled up, and he looked out and he said to Doris, "Doris, 2 sole in the bone, 1 lobster thermidor, 1 lobster with garlic butter." I said, "What are you doing, Manuel?" "Oh, that's what they're going to have." And he was right. They came in and that's what they had. Anyway, I went back to Joe the following day. "Joe, not for me at all." I told him what happened with Manuel, not for me. But anyway, I did. I went with it. And I suppose over the years, like, that was really an incredible restaurant. You know, Joe had it all designed, little nooks and crannies. When you go in, you had the welcoming area. And I suppose it just was, I was addicted to it, like, really. I loved meeting people, I loved talking, even though I developed my skills over the years, I suppose, with regards to food and the wine and that. But yeah, that was a big kick-off. So Joe is meant for the sea. He loves the sea, and he has a pub in Kilkee called the Greyhound, lovely pub, and he has the dive centre. So that's what he wanted to do. So Joe sold, and this building became available for lease. And there was only 12 bedrooms that time. Where we're sitting now was our original kitchen. Okay. And we lived in there. And we took it on lease for 2 years with a price agreed. And that's how we got in here. And obviously after 2 years we bought it. And Fiona, my wife, was always behind me with everything I ever did, and I'd say without her, I wouldn't be here at all. At the time, Maureen, my daughter, was 16, David was 8. And they lived upstairs overhead the offices, and Maureen's now our accountant. David runs the place really now. And where she had her bedroom, and he had his bedroom, they're now her offices, like that.
Wow.
She's the nerve center of the whole operation, like. But so she was. He was more into this end of it, David. But as a young fella, he was about 8 when we came in, as I said. He saw we had a lovely woman, Dolores O'Toole, doing the kitchen that time. She was on her own. So basically, the menu was fairly simple. You know, we'd only 12 rooms. So it was kind of fries and maybe whatever. So he asked me, could he work in the mornings during his time off? I said, yeah, if you're too young. I said, you need a tie and a white shirt and pants. And so if I get all that, I said, yeah, sure, I'll give it a go. So he was landed on 7 o'clock one morning. The school tie that could never be found was suddenly unearthed on him. He had a white shirt, pants on him, know where he got him. And he landed on, and there was a white towel hanging down the back of his, where the old waiters have a towel. So anyway, I gave him she's fair play, but there's 4 Americans sitting on table 2 in there. And he had his order book. So I said, go on down, she'll get an order after the guys there. And he goes down, and of course, oh my God, you are a waiter? You are a waiter. How cute, how cute. So anyway, next thing he says, are you having a fry or what? He didn't say, what would you like, good morning. Are you having a fry or what? So one of them said, may I have some scrambled eggs? Hang on, he said. So I was actually listening behind the thing. So how is he going to handle this one? Like, he shot in anyway, he nearly knocked me down. How do you spell scrambled eggs?
In terms of, family then, like, as you said, your children, they could have went on to do whatever else, different things, or stayed abroad or anything like that, but they've both chose to come back here.
Well, there was a reason for that as well.
Okay.
I suppose 2013, November, I was up in the office and I was touching kind of 15.5 stone, which was way too heavy for me. But I was doing all the wrong things. I was eating at the wrong time, eating the wrong stuff. I would spend all my day here, all day, all night if I had to. Even in the early days, like I'd be here maybe till 3 in the morning, and I'd be up for the breakfast then at 7 o'clock. Because, well, especially in the restaurant, I always feel that you have to be there for the welcome. To welcome people in, make them feel comfortable. But it's more important to be there to say goodbye when they're going. So it was the same with the rooms. I felt I had to be. I love being here, and I'd say if there's anyone else, and if you wanna, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be married now because, she was always supportive of stuff like that, and I spent so much time here that I would have, I missed David's All Ireland final, and that was massive because we had a wedding. And I'd always miss weddings because first thing I do if I'm invited, somebody just look to see who was in, oh no, I can't be, I have to be there for that. But anyway, I was, I get an odd pain here and there, but I always felt it was because I was doing too much and I'd rest a bit and to go away. But I went for an MOT on the 12th of November in Galway Clinic, and I was afraid of my cholesterol actually. But I did anyway, and Dr. Murta rang me the following day. I was up in the office looking out the window thinking about Christmas. And I said, how's my cholesterol? She said, perfect. I said, brilliant. I can start doing a bit of training now or something. Oh, well, she said, there's some other issues that we need to see you again about. I said, grand, look, sure, I'll go up in January. I said, we're up the walls now from now till Christmas, Or she said, no, I need to see you tomorrow. I have an appointment for you tomorrow. I said, grand, but I didn't think it was going to be anything serious. So I went into her anyway, and she said, look, I didn't want to tell you over the phone, blah, blah, blah. She said, you have all the symptoms of multiple myeloma. I said, okay, no bother. I hadn't a clue what it was like.
Yeah.
I was so removed from the world of cancer that, I just didn't have a clue. So when I got out, and she said, there's a consultant coming to see you. And so you might check in upstairs, and I'd no bag. I didn't have a clue. And so I did. I went out, I rang my own Dr. P. Quinn, Dr. Barry Quinn, And I said, is multiple myeloma cancer? He said, yeah. So that's when I realised. So I went up and I was waiting for Dr. Hyatt. We were up on the top floor of the Galway Clinic, and I was looking out, and it was a horrible, wet, foggy all day, and I was looking out over Galway. And he arrived anyway, and I had my cat as my picture on my phone. And he's brilliant. He looked at the phone, he said, do you like cats? I said, and so did he. So it'd be a long chat about the cats, right? So then I said after a while, will we have a chat about the other thing?
Yeah.
And he said, okay, he said, look, if I was talking to you 10 years ago, I'd be telling you maybe a year to 2. But now, he said, things are improved and you could get 3 years, possibly 5. But he told me what myeloma, that was actually, I asked him that, but he told me first what myeloma was. It was a cancer of the bone marrow and the white cells, and there was no cure. But he said, you can get treated, and the first thing he said is, how long does the treatment take? Well, he said it'd be a year for the first round of it, like. And I said, can I work? And he said, maybe for a few weeks. And then he said it's going to get more difficult, which it did. And so in 2014, I had my first stem cell transplant. And I found that one very tough now because I came out, I lost so much weight. But I was back to work in a year. He was spot on. I was back in November again. So that was 2014. 2015 went fairly okay. I had always getting chemo every month. Since 2013, I get chemo every month or twice a month. But now in the last 5 years, it's just every month, 2 days every month. But he said, I often get infections and stuff as well. So 15 was okay, then 16 was fairly okay, just in note with different small issues. And 17, I knew I wasn't right. The bloods reflected that. And I remember we had Christmas 17th of December, we had a group in that looked after us so well over the years. Like, we'd gone through tough years as well, because when things, the recession, that time with the banks and all that, we were suffered big with that as well, like, because we had it on this, now is what it is. That's where we lived is now a private dining room. And we've now 20 bedrooms and new kitchen, and
Yeah.
So where was I? 17th anyway. I came down because there was a company that came in, GCAS, Dermot Hyde and his team, and they supported us, through thick and thin. But they're having their Christmas party, and I said I have to go down to that. So I did. I came down, wished them all happy Christmas, whatever. Walked back out and met Gary, our chef, out the back, and I said, Gary, I know Noel. I said, I won't be down. I won't probably see you until after Christmas. So anyway, I went to Galway that night. That was the 17th of December. 17. I didn't get out until the 6th of June in 18. So I was 6 months in isolation, 2 more stem cell transplants, and to this day, Dr. Hyde tells me you shouldn't have walked out of the hospital that time because I was so ill. But it was tough, all right, But Fiona was I don't know how Fiona did it. She did her shift here in the morning, covering reception, and then she'd come up to the hospital to me. But there was nobody else allowed in.
That must have been those months.
That was tough. Now, but look, a lot of time you're very sick anyway.
Yeah.
They were tough old times. But anyway, I got out of it, and then that was in 18, 19 then. 19, I had an issue with my lung, and I ended up in St. James's for a 9-hour operation. 9. And I had some of my lung removed, and I didn't wake up for about a week after it. And then I was on antibiotics. I couldn't work, but I did work. I had an antibiotic. I had to get the antibiotics changed.
The doctor told you weren't meant to work.
Yeah, no, but I was down.
But you did.
Because anyway, that was 19. 20 was okay. We got COVID, so that was simple enough. 21 then very bad. Very bad to extent. My consultant was on holidays, and it always seems to happen around Christmas for me. And he was on holidays, and another consultant came in to me and said, "You can actually go home." I said, great, because Dr. Hyatt had promised me a new drug he found in the States. And I said, oh, when am I getting the new drug? He said, you're not going to get it. I said, why not? You contact Dr. Hyatt. He said, well, I am a consultant as well, but I'm looking in numbers, I'm looking at those screens. He said, nobody's come back from that. So we can do the palliative care at home.
God.
So anyway, I said, look, that's what you're saying. I can't force you to keep me. So I rang Fionn, obviously, first. I rang our local undertaker. He's known as, well, he calls himself the Dagger, but he's a bit of a legend. So I rang him, I rang Father Harry Bowen, the man with the graves in Bunratty. So I had 5 calls. That was 4. The last one was James Sexton. James is an entertainer. And he would have been doing David's wedding 2 years later. I said, will you do a video of me giving a speech at David's wedding? So he said he would. So anyway, I don't know, I was actually, to be honest, lads, I was kind of accepting it, which is very unusual. You know, I said, look, I got way more years than I should have got. So I was quite accepting it, like, you know. But then in the middle of the night I woke up and said, no, something not right here. So I emailed Dr. Hyatt's clinical nurse, Karen, and she emailed him and he said, you can go home, but I'll be back in 2 weeks and bring you up. And they got the drug for me. And I said to Karen, I really believe this drug's going to work for me. And she said, so do I. I'm on it 5 years now.
Wow.
So if I went home and said nothing, game was over. And there was no chance of any extra time, like. But yeah, so after that happened, then, you know, not that I changed my attitude. I still come down as much as I can, and I'm here all the time, really. But I just felt that, look, I can't add days to my life. I can't add life to my days. As in, you know, at the end of the day, it's not the years that you remember. It's the days you remember that you lived, you know, and that's every day for me now. When I wake up every day, unbelievable. Just to be able to open my eyes, go out and shower, shave, have a cup of tea. Because, like, when I was in for 6 months, I couldn't do that. Yeah. I suppose if you look back over the years, we've, like, our current, getting back to the cookery end, or the food end of it, Gary McGorian is our head chef, and an actual legend. He's very creative. He started in the Fat Duck, so he's a big fan of Hess and Blumenthal. But he keeps up with the trends of food, you know. And he's a great team in there, Willie and Patrick, Vinny and Lisa, and they're, you know, we've been so lucky with that team that like Gary is laid back, you know, there's no stress, and we've been lucky with chefs always that we've had. I won't start names of the old ones because I forget somebody. Yeah. But Gary's been brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant.
And just to finish on that note, then 2013 you got the diagnosis. Yeah. And the doctor said to you that 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years. Yeah.
And 13 years later, you're still flying about.
I'll be going to 14 now. Actually, next month. Oh no, November. Yeah, 14 next year. Yeah.
And you're still flying around the restaurant.
Still walking around here
greeting people when they come in, and as you said, most importantly,
yeah, it is.
When they leave.
Look, sure, the amount of people we met over the years have become friends that have, you know, we had Air Force One staying during the Kuwait War one time. They were here for about 3 weeks, and they'd all get dressed up in the morning. There was 5 of them, and they didn't know because of security whether they were going to be flying that day or what. 3 weeks says, go up to the airport, no, go home. And they came back down and tries to bring them to rugby matches, or if there was a hurling match on, just show them a hurling match or something. But they sent me a lovely Air Force One picture and appreciation from the staff of Air Force One. And I know, it's things like that you remember, you know, and it's just, I suppose, you meet so many people like it. Yeah. And everyone has a story. Do you know?
Absolutely.
Everyone has a story, but we've, as I say, it's.
You've built a community.
It is a bit of a community, really, yeah. But again, like that, I couldn't do this on my own. There's girls there doing the rooms today, and there's the lady in reception. Most important man in the house is the kitchen porter, and the night porter.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a whole team, and I suppose my own family. Then obviously I've mentioned Fiona and David Moran. I mean, again, without them and David coming back, he came back from London in 2018 actually.
Okay.
That's when he came back, and he said he'd take it on. So it is definitely, you know, it's something that you have to have everyone committed and singing off the same hymn sheet, really, to make it work.
Talk to us a little bit about what makes it Irish hospitality so special, and what do you think
we
yourself?
engage with people, you know. I'd be good at remembering names, or where people sat. Would you believe? If you sat in table 3, I'd say to you, "You were here last day. You were over there," and they say, "How do you remember that?" But it's a weird kind of a thing I have. But I'd always try and endeavour and get names of people when they're, you know, whoever they are, and you know they kind of get, you know, you wouldn't kind of in too many places would make the effort, like.
Yeah. Any interesting stories about anyone you'd come through the doors before, or any mention noteworthy
There's probably
people?
a few, but we'd have to put it off till I'm gone. They will record it now, and when I'm gone, maybe you can. Well, he told us this. Yeah, no. Look, there's been so incredible stuff, really. You know, and we've had a lot of celebrities, we'll call them.
Of course, yeah.
And I suppose the most recent one, we had Imelda May staying, and she was doing a show in
Glore.
Ennis, in Glore. And she asked me, I was chatting with her about down some soup, and she said, will you sing a song with me tonight? I said, no, I can't sing, Imelda. And she said, you can sing. I saw the video. And I put 2 and 2 together. She's best friends with Victoria Mary Clark, Shane McGowan's wife, and I think she more or less, told her to maybe stay here if she was in Ennis. And so up I went and did a little fairy tale of New York with her on the stage.
Very good. And it went down very well.
Went down grand now, in fairness.
You went, did you go viral on social media?
It went a bit mad on right for a while, and people were asking me, will you sing a song there before you go? Oh, of course. And the girl I recorded with, Clare, she was there on the night as well. And Clare came up and sang it as well. So
very good.
Yeah, really was.
That was mighty.
And the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day. I could have been someone, well, so could anyone. You took my dreams from me when I first found you. I kept them with me, babe, and I put them with my own. Can't make it all alone. I built my dreams around you. 2, 3, 4. And the boys from the NYPD choir were singing Galway Bay, and the bells were ringing out for Christmas Day.
The whole place here, you've been here, what, 24 years?
25 next year.
25.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you now?
I suppose that's a good question now. Just have to think about that one.
Tough question.
Yeah, it's a tough question. What it means to me now, I suppose, is the fact that the longevity of the restaurant is what I'd be most kind of proud of, that we never, you know, and we've always kept quality as our, you know, as our main, and obviously the welcome and that. But yeah, the fact that we're here that long, because, you know, it's restaurant business, not easy, and you have to really buy into it. But the fact that we've survived that long is probably the most satisfying thing about the whole lot.
Go on, you're a busy man.
No, I'm a diabetic and it's a pump, so it starts talking to me. So we lived here from quite a young age. Grew up in the kitchen, I suppose. Came back from school and was straight into the kitchen, and that was probably my first love, really, like cooking. And the chefs we've always had chefs that have been with us for very long periods of time. So I suppose young, impressionable, the age I was, kind of soaked up everything that they had to offer, and my love for food came from there. So if I didn't do hospitality management, I think chefing was probably where I was going to end up.
Was that a difficult one to? What made you go for the hospitality management rather than the chef side?
Oh, back then, chefs were different. It was a grimy, hard slog of a shift, and a lot of them didn't like it. Even though they loved working here and they loved being part of Bunratty Manor, they mightn't have necessarily loved what they did. And some of them now have gone on and changed careers, but now it's very, very different, of course. So I suppose I saw that when I was quite young and realised, no, I don't want to hate what I do. So, and now to this day, I still love cooking. But I suppose at that age, I was just like, I don't want to end up hating it.
Yeah.
And that was just because I was quite impressionable and young. So I kind of, learned it from that side of it. And naturally then front of house was going to be the other option. I actually remember doing my interview for Shannon College Hotel Management, and one of the main questions I knew the interviewer was, do you feel like you were institutionalized into coming to Shannon College? And I was like, I just didn't really think of anything else. I didn't see myself doing anything else. Sure, you know yourself, if you don't love what you do, there's no point in doing it. I remember, for some reason, Mum and Dad weren't here. My sister was in college at the time. It could even be earlier than that. But I remember picking up the phone here in reception, probably 9 or 10 maybe, and it was an American accent down the phone. They said, we're here in the village, we don't know where the hotel is. And the village is, a couple of 100 yards, it's really small. And they weren't really grasping. Turn around, they were outside the castle, come back, and we're on the left hand side. They just couldn't really get a grasp for it. So I said, as quick as I could think, I said, don't worry, I'll send my son down on his bike and you can follow and you can follow him up. Lo and behold, by the time I got back up on my bike, Mum and Dad were back on reception and they were able to check them in. But that's one that he often tells, and it's one that I actually physically remember, because there's so many different memories. Me and my sister, like the two of us, we took over in 2013, I think. No, I was obviously still in college and still maybe even school at that stage. No, college at that stage. But Maureen would have been here full time. And then I moved back when Dad was quite sick in 2018, I think, January of 2018. And we actually refinanced the business the year after. So me and Maureen fully took over from then. And as fantastic as Dad was at the hospitality and the people, which he still is and always has been, he was never very good at the books. So Maureen took over the book side of it and the finance side of it. And from there on, I suppose year on year, it went from strength to strength. So we've had the joy of bringing it from what it was to now in terms of, I suppose, the finances. Then in addition, obviously the people. So we have people who have been with us for almost 15 years, which in hospitality is not very common. Yeah, maybe in certain hotels that are a little bit rural and maybe supply employment to a village or an area. But in Bunratty, I think it's a great accomplishment. And I suppose that weighs on you, that you've got mortgages to pay. We have 30 plus staff between full-timers and part-timers, and ultimately, you know what the margins are like restaurant. It's very hard to make money. Any subsidies that come through or wage changes, they change the bottom line year on year. So if you can just carry it from one year to the next, you're delighted. But ultimately, you're responsible for your full-time staff paying their mortgage, and I suppose there's great pride in knowing that we, I suppose, attribute to that. it'll always be Noel's, and subsidy. It'll always be my mum's, but it'll always be known as Noel Wallace's restaurant. So you kind of have to. That never bothered me in the sense like he prefers doing this kind of thing. I prefer just getting through the job and
you're not too bad at it.
I know we're similar in that way, but he's gifted with knowing names and knowing people. I'm very good with the faces. I don't know how he does it, but he just retains names like it's phenomenal. We're delighted, obviously, that he's still here. Even if you don't need to ring him, just to ring him on Monday and say, look, thinking of doing this, thinking of doing that. You might not need the opinion, but it probably does him more good than it does us. And they're still very fresh. Health wise aside, that he's well able to do the job as well, which is fantastic.
How do you see the future going, the business, and what you look forward to in it?
Look, I suppose it has always been a family business, so I suppose keeping that part of it is very important to us. Bunratty's on a bit of a unique trajectory. It's always been a very important tourist spot in Clare and on the west coast of Ireland, the Wild Atlantic Way. And that's not going to stop anytime soon. We do have some hotels that have been closed and some buildings that need a little bit of redevelopment, but I think all that's going to come in time. So there's a bit of a boom hopefully going to come at some stage. And look, we've survived 24 years. I'm sure we can survive a little longer and ride the wave, as they say. But look, the restaurant has a great reputation locally. But what I've found in the last more than 12 months for sure, but definitely of late, we've people that have never been here before, more than ever. So there's a great sense of optimism in that, because like any restaurant that's been around for a long time, your clientele age, and there comes a time where you need to start bringing in another fresh face, another fresh bit of youth into it as well, and that's kind of naturally happening, which is great, nice and refreshing. So we don't have to change too much, but at the same time, your appetites change as well. So you're very clued into what's required and what does need to change. Hopefully we're doing that.